The Tenant in Flat 306. My name is Matthew. There are certain sounds you never forget. A scream, a gunshot, a door slamming in the middle of the night. For me, it was footsteps, slow, deliberate footsteps, coming from an apartment that was supposed to be empty. This happened in Manchester, England, during the winter of 2023. At the time, I was 27 years old and living alone for the first time. Money was tight, and after weeks of searching, I found a surprisingly cheap apartment in an old brick building on the edge of the city. The place wasn't perfect. The wallpaper was peeling. The elevators barely worked. The heating system had a habit of dying whenever temperatures dropped, but it was affordable, and that was all that mattered. I moved into Flat 206 on a cold November afternoon. While showing me around, the landlord mentioned something strange. "Flat 306 above you is empty." I shrugged. "Okay. It has been empty for years." That seemed like an odd thing to say, but I didn't think much of it. At first, everything was normal. I worked during the day and came home exhausted. Most nights I fell asleep within minutes. Then 3 weeks after moving in, I woke up at exactly 2:17 a.m. Footsteps, directly above my bed, slow, heavy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I checked the time, 2:17 a.m. I rolled over and tried to ignore it. The footsteps continued for nearly an hour. The next night, the exact same thing happened, 2:17 a.m. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, every single night. Always the same time, always the same pace. Eventually I complained to the landlord. His expression immediately changed. "You're hearing footsteps?" "Every night." He looked genuinely disturbed. "That's impossible." "Why?" "Because nobody lives there." I laughed. He didn't. That was when I first felt uneasy. A few days later I decided to go upstairs. Flat 306 sat at the end of a dim hallway. Dust covered the door frame. The mailbox was overflowing with old letters. Everything about it screamed abandoned. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked harder. Still nothing. Then I noticed something strange. The dust around the doorknob had been disturbed. Recently. Someone had touched it. Someone had used that door. That night I bought a small security camera and mounted it above my front door. If someone was coming and going, I wanted proof. 3 nights later I got it. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a tall figure emerged from the stairwell. The person wore a long black coat, with the hood pulled low over their face. They walked slowly toward my apartment, stopped directly outside my door, and stood there, for nearly 5 minutes, doing absolutely nothing, just staring. Then they knocked 3 times. Knock, 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 and walked away. The next morning I nearly dropped my coffee while watching the footage. I immediately showed it to the landlord. The moment he saw the figure, the color drained from his face. "That's him." "Who?" "The tenant." "What tenant?" "The man who lived in 306. I stared at him. "What happened to him?" The landlord swallowed hard. He disappeared. Apparently, 6 years earlier, a man named Simon Carter had rented Flat 306. He kept to himself, never caused problems, never missed rent. Then one day he simply vanished. His wallet remained inside, his phone remained inside, his car remained in the parking lot. But Simon was gone. Police never found a trace of him. The story bothered me more than I wanted to admit. That night I couldn't sleep. At around 3 in the morning, I heard a sound from inside my apartment, a creak, then another. I sat upright. Someone was walking through my flat. I grabbed my phone and switched on the flashlight. My bedroom was empty. The hallway was empty. The kitchen was empty. Then I noticed something sitting on my dining table, a folded piece of paper. My stomach tightened. I slowly opened it. 4 words, "Don't look up." I froze. I had never seen that note before. Someone had entered my apartment. Someone had left that message, and somehow they had done it without forcing the door. The police found nothing, no fingerprints, no signs of entry, no evidence. It was as if the note had simply appeared. Over the next few weeks, things became worse, much worse. Objects moved around my apartment, lights switched on by themselves. Doors I knew I'd locked would be standing open in the morning. Then the notes started appearing, regularly. "He sees you. Don't open the door. Leave before Christmas." The handwriting was always the same, sharp, neat, almost elegant. By December, I was sleeping with every light turned on. I barely slept at all. Then came the night. Everything changed. December 22nd, a freezing Thursday night. The footsteps began at exactly 2:17 a.m., but this time they sounded different. Instead of pacing around upstairs, they were moving toward something, or someone. Then I heard a loud crash above me, followed by complete silence. For the first time in weeks, there were no more footsteps. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. I grabbed a flashlight and went upstairs. The hallway was empty. Flat 306 stood at the end as always, but this time the apartment door was slightly open, just a few inches. My heart pounded. Every instinct told me to leave. Instead, I pushed the door open. The apartment was dark, silent, cold. I slowly stepped inside. Dust covered the floor, except for one set of footprints leading toward the bedroom. Fresh footprints. I followed them. Inside the bedroom, I found something strange. A wardrobe pushed against the wall. The floor beneath it was covered in deep scratches, as if it had been moved countless times. I pulled. The wardrobe slid aside. Behind it was a hidden door. My hands were shaking now. I opened it. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. The smell that drifted upward was horrible, rotten, damp, wrong. I nearly turned back. Instead, I switched on my flashlight and went down. The staircase led to a hidden basement beneath the building, a basement that shouldn't have existed. The room was enormous, and every wall was covered in photographs. Hundreds, thousands. Every tenant who had ever lived in the building. Pictures dating back decades. People sleeping, watching television, cooking, talking, living their lives, all photographed without their knowledge. Then I found photographs of myself, dozens of them. Me entering the building, me asleep, me standing at my kitchen counter. One photo had been taken only 2 nights earlier. Panic hit me like a truck. Then I noticed something else, a chair, positioned in the center of the room. And sitting in that chair was a man. At first I thought he was asleep. Then my flashlight reached his face. I nearly screamed. It was Simon Carter, the missing tenant, the man from 6 years ago. Except he wasn't alive. His body was mummified, dry, motionless, dead for years. My stomach twisted. Then a voice spoke, behind me. "You're not supposed to be here." I spun around. A tall man stood at the bottom of the stairs, wearing the black coat, the same coat from the footage, the same coat from every photograph. His hood slowly fell back. The face underneath wasn't old. It wasn't young either. It was impossible to judge his age. But the thing I remember most was his smile, a calm, pleasant smile, like meeting an old friend. He took a step toward me, then another. I ran. I don't remember climbing the stairs. I don't remember leaving the apartment. I only remember running until I reached the street. Police arrived minutes later. They searched the entire building. The hidden basement was real. The photographs were real. Simon's body was real. But the man in the black coat was gone. Nobody ever found him. The investigation lasted months. The building was eventually closed. Many believed the man had been secretly living there for decades. Others believed something much darker. I moved away shortly afterward. New city, new apartment, new life. For a while, everything seemed normal again, until 6 months later. I checked my mailbox one evening and found an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photograph of my new house, taken from across the street. On the back was a handwritten message, just 4 words. "Found you again, Matthew." I moved out the following week, and even now, 3 years later, I still check over my shoulder whenever I walk home at night, because sometimes, when I pass a dark window, I catch a glimpse of a tall figure in a black coat standing behind me, smiling, and every time I turn around, there's nobody there. The end.